Question number 2, Alfred Ngaro.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister of Finance, how are household balance sheets supporting resilience in the New Zealand economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the resilience of the New Zealand economy is based on the resilience of New Zealand households, and that can be measured by household debt relative to incomes and relative to assets. The aggregate debt of New Zealand households increased significantly between 2000 and 2008 because of uncontained house price rises and debt-funded consumption. Since then, growth in household debt has been moderate, despite continued growth in Auckland house prices. Household savings have increased markedly since 2006 and are now positive since 2010. The combined effect has been a reduction in the ratio of household debt to assets. More savings and moderate growth in debt means that New Zealand households are well positioned to manage through the current uncertainty.
Order. Supplementary question, Alfred Ngaro.
How can higher household debt affect macroeconomic vulnerability?
The Honourable
Mr Speaker, it's pleasing to see that since 2008, higher household incomes and moderate growth in household debt has resulted in stabilising the debt-to-income ratio after it rose by 50% up to 2000 to 2008. So while household debt is increasing, it is increasing at moderate levels of around 5% per annum, far below the debt increases of 16% per year in the mid-2000s. High household debt is associated with volatile consumption. High household debt can also produce a more volatile business cycle, but it looks as if New Zealand's households are running pretty well balanced debt and asset ratios, and that will help them get through any softening in the economy.
Order. Before I call the member, there's a huge level of interjection coming from one particular member who has a question later that I'm very interested in the answer to. So I'm hoping that he's here to ask the question. Supplementary question, Alfred Ngaro.
How does the change in household debt to income ratios in New Zealand since 2008 compare to other countries?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, up to 2008, New Zealand had one of the more rapid increases in household debt to income. That is, debt went up a lot faster than income, and now that has changed. Households in some countries have significantly reduced their debt, for instance in the UK and the United States. Another measure of vulnerability is total debt to GDP. Between 2007 and 2014, this increased across all advanced countries, including New Zealand, and New Zealand's increase was about the second smallest in the last 7 years among advanced countries. According to Treasury, in 2014, New Zealand has the second lowest ratio of total debt to GDP among advanced economies, the second lowest ratio of total debt to GDP.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cole.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. You've rightly surmised a level of frustration on the opposition benches, sir, and seek you to clarify your ruling of yesterday that both long questions and unduly long answers are out of order, and whether the Minister is coming close to your definition of an unduly long answer, especially, sir, because it is arguable whether the Minister of Finance has any ministerial responsibility for the debt of individual households.
Order. If the member would only study the question, it's around the resilience of the New Zealand economy, so the Minister of Finance certainly has an interest in that. As I've mentioned on many occasions, I will be the adjudicator as to the length of answers. I am conscious that some of the answers that are given to this two supplementary questions are tending on the long side, but I will be the adjudicator, not the honourable member. Further supplementary question, Alfred Ngaro.
How are lower interest rates and moderate debt growth resulting in more money in the pockets for New Zealand families?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, interest rates have dropped from a high of 11% to currently under 5%. At the same time, since 2008, the average wage has increased by 22.5%. So that means that the debt servicing ratio in households has reduced. In 2008, households were spending on average 14% of their disposable income on servicing debt. Today, they are spending 10% of disposable income on debt servicing. So their incomes have gone up, their debt levels are stable, and interest rates are a lot lower, so they're better off.
Question number 3, Grant Robertson.